How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I will be going over another VOD review. This time it's going to be of a higher level. This is going to be a team that I coach and play on occasionally, and it's going to be at a 4100 SR average level. So for this point of view, I believe we're going to see mostly off-tank role. It's going to be a lot of D.Va and some Zarya, I think focused mainly on D.Va. But most importantly, what I'm going to do today is I'm only going to cover the team fights. I'm going to go over more in-depth analysis on just what's happening and the decisions that are being made in the team fight, things that I think could have been done better, things that I think that went really well and that you should definitely continue to do, and things along that nature. So we're going to go into the first team fight. So the enemy team is running a Sombra, a Hammond, and those... Actually, I think the Hammond is the only tank. So first we're going to look at what we're doing for the very first fight in the very first dive. So far I'm seeing really good work. We're going to rewind a little bit though. So let's analyze what happens at the beginning. So at the beginning of the King of the Hill map, this is basically both teams are going to come out through these two doors and we're going to meet out in the open field. So we aren't sure what the enemy team is going to run. So one of the main jobs at a high level is for the off tank to kind of scout. It's much easier for a D.Va to do because her defense matrix allows her, well, not only her defense matrix, but her boosters as well as her defense matrix makes it very easy for D.Va to be a scout. She can go and be like, all right, I'm going to hold my defense matrix up for a few seconds. I'm going to see what the enemy team is running, what team composition they have at the beginning, because as you know, when you hit the tab menu, that information is not revealed for a while. So you sit there and you be like, all right, they have a Hammond, they have a Sombra, and that sort of information is usually what's left to the D.Va or the off-tank in general. Otherwise, it would be a Pharah or a Widowmaker's job, a Tracer or Doom, some sort of flanker could also potentially show that information as well. So for the beginning of the fight, you're going to hold down your defense matrix. I think that's really good because your left click damage here, it isn't really doing anything. So right here, we kind of know what the enemy team is running. We see a Brig, McCree, Sombra, Hammond. We know there's a Zen, and I think there's an Ana. So they're running triple support, double DPS, but solo tank, and the solo tank Hammond, which is a rather interesting comp. When you see that there's a solo tank Hammond, you kind of want to ignore him, especially as a D.Va. It's not really your job, like your defense matrix doesn't really matter that much. I mean, Hammond does a decent amount of hit scan damage, but compared to the McCree or the Ana or Sombra, or even the Zenyatta, those are targets that are much like more value using your defense matrix on rather than a Hammond. So your damage at this range is pretty non-existent. In order for D.Va to do more damage, you really need to get up close and personal. So this is basically just chip damage that you're kind of using in between a little bit of short burst of defense matrix, trying to damage mitigate, which I think is good. In this situation, you want to go ahead and pick a target to dive. Not necessarily the D.Va's call. Usually you want to leave that to somebody else, like the main tank. If it's a Winston, let the Winston decide what target to go on, and then you should be going on whatever that target is that he calls out. In this situation, I would definitely be going for one of the, either the Ana, the McCree, or the Zenyatta. You don't go for Hammond because he's too beefy. You don't go for Sombra because of Translocator, and you don't go for Brig because, well, it's Brig. She's kind of difficult to kill. Unless you all commit to her, it's possible, but at that same time, then the Ana and the Zenyatta are going to be able to pocket her when that happens. So it's a rather difficult target to dive. So right here, you need to be going in. Definitely be going in. So your Doomfist is in, your Winston is in, and you're not quite in. I think you waited a little too long with that fly. I do think it's good that you were able to follow up with your team, but I do think that you could have followed up quicker. Let's watch to see this more in real time. So you see our Doomfist goes in, Translocator is out, Sombra is gone, and now Winston is in here. So the Winston looks like he's on the Ana, which is a really good target. The Ana uses the nade and jumps out, but we see that the Brig has taken a lot of AoE damage, probably from the Winston and maybe one of our DPS, the hit scan or something. So diving on the Brig was good. One other thing I think you could have done differently, you could have gone earlier with your boosters, but I also think you could have used a melee attack against the Brig, because when Brig's holding his shield up like that, See, she's not going to take any damage by left-click shooting her. You can boop into the brig, and it does a little bit of damage that way, but if she's in a corner and she has her shield up, one of the things that you could do instead of holding down left-click in this situation is you can actually throw in a melee at them. But ultimately, I think the dive was good, but you could have been a little bit quicker, but that's more of a nitpick than anything. Using your defense matrix on the Ana immediately after is a really good thing for several reasons. Like, damage mitigation is the key of defense matrix, right? That's going to be the biggest strong point because you could stop entire abilities. But not only is that one of the reasons why it's good, because obviously Ana is not going to be doing damage, but your defense matrix makes it so she literally can't heal her team, which is something that divas really need. I think every diva player out there should really take note. Even if you don't kill an Ana, if you put your entire duration of defense matrix on her, it's effectively cutting off the entire enemy team's healing source. So that's something you should always keep in mind. Another good thing to do is to try to go for the sleep dart or the nade. If you're able to eat those abilities with your DM, that's very high value. That's a lot easier than you think. It's pretty obvious when an Ana wants to go in for those nades. If you're diving on Ana and she's looking more downwards, then obviously she's looking that way because she wants to hit a nade for the AoE damage so she can heal herself when you dive her. So as soon as you see Ana start to look down, that's when you go for the defense matrix. Alternatively, you can kind of wait to see for the sleep dart as well. A good way to do that is to not use your defense matrix immediately when diving her. Kind of wait a little bit because this is against good Anas. If you're against a bad Ana, they think differently. If it's a lower rank and it's an Ana that's probably bad, then she'll probably use her sleep dart immediately. But a good Ana will try to wait for the good opportunity when the defense matrix is down. Because as soon as you put the defense matrix down, there's a kind of like a cooldown before you're able to use the defense matrix again. Meaning that that's her opportunity window where she's able to land a sleep on you. So what you want to do is you kind of want to just wait on the defense matrix against good Anas, wait for them a little bit, and then use the defense matrix after. It's kind of more of a mind game than anything, but you're also going to just waste a DM if you just do it at the beginning because the Ana, against a good Ana, obviously. If it's against like a really low rank Ana or a bad Ana, then they'll probably throw their abilities out very hastily and not really think too much about their actions. Whereas a good Ana will probably wait for you to use the defense matrix, but if they wait too long, then they take too much damage, and then that's when you can really punish them. So really good follow-up here. So you should be focusing on what's in front of you using your DM. I do like that you flew out there. Flying out because you're at low HP is always really good. Obviously, you have the advantage. You killed the Brig and you killed the Ana, so you're 4v6 right now. So if you get a really low health in a team fight situation where you're already up like 2 players, just escape, get healed, re-engage. You have the opportunity to heal and re-engage, which is much quicker than the enemy team respawning to re-engage. Being able to just fly right out is perfect. You get an Ana nade. You're getting healed by Lucio. And here, I would be moving to the point as well. So overall, you basically won this fight. Even if you go down right here, you still have a 2-man advantage. And the damage output that you're putting out right now, even with the Bunny Blaster, that was really good Bunny Blaster. I like that. I like that. So here your team has the point, and you're just going to play to get into the mech. That's really good. I like that. Alright, so this is the second fight. So I'm going to watch this in real time, and then I'll rewind. Okay, so nothing really happened in that fight. That was definitely more of a zoning fight than anything. It was an opportunity to turn that into some more picks. It looks like our Sombra died, so it's we're down a person. Okay, so it's a very even fight. We're down our DPS, but they're down their Zenyatta. And we're third team comp. Zenyatta is definitely more of a DPS pick. With triple support, if you have Ana, Brig, Zen instead of Ana, Brig, Lucio, then Zenyatta is very much a damage dealer. So in this situation, you don't have the complete advantage for this team fight. It's a 5v5, and you're lacking the DPS hero and the disables, which is something that's really good against the Hammond. So not pursuing here is definitely the right play. We do get a big anti-nade here, but I like that you're not engaging on it because it is kind of more risky to try and go on a 5v5. I think playing it a bit more slow and a bit more passively is the right call here. You really be able, well, you're hacked. I mean, ideally you would want to help your Winston and get out of that engagement, but EMP and Sombra are a thing, so that wouldn't be able to happen. I don't know if I like going for that McCree too much. That bomb is ambitious. I would like to talk about this bomb, what your goal was with this bomb. So you're trying to zone out the McCree. It's decent. You're not going to kill the McCree anytime soon. There's a few reasons why you're not going to, is because you're alone and they have 3 healers and Ana is pocketing him and you're quite deep into the enemy territory. But the rest of the team is trying to play more defensively and try to just stall for time, especially because it's more of an even. We're actually down to Lucio now, so I believe it's a 5v4 and we're kind of down a lot of presence on the point right now too, because you're over here on the enemy side of things. So I think your intention with this bomb was good. Clearly it was to try to go to the point and apply pressure to people who were trying to move in, probably in this area. It's not a bad idea, but it's not going to get a whole lot of value because the enemy team is still right next to you. As you can see, the brig is just ready to get you. I think it probably would have been the better play, because right here you see the brig. She's right next to you. She just needs to get a little bit closer, and then you're in the stun range, right? But the Zenyatta is also able to discord you, meaning it's going to be really difficult because if the brig knows what she's doing, she could also stun you during mid-flight, which could be pretty devastating because then your boosters are on cooldown and you're just going to get beaten to death by brig and a discord orb on you, which is just awful to deal with. So the goal in this situation when you're down the fight, you want to basically just stall the point. What I would have done, instead of try to chuck my bomb to the point, I think the better play would be to try and fly over the brig, because there's still a good amount of I mean, you have your boosters, they just came up, and the brig is still kind of on the ground, and you're not going to be in stun range her. If you just fly up and maybe try to go through this window right here, I think you'll have a much better opportunity to reach the point, and then you can use your bomb for remech purposes, which definitely would have been better for stalling the point in the situation, which is what you want to do. When you have this and you're down, you just want to try and die on the point and stall for as much time as possible, even more so for a diva, because usually the enemy team at a higher level in scrims, they will stagger, just mercilessly stagger a baby diva. So you want to be sure that you're on the point, so if they do stagger you, then they're not going to be able to capture the point, which is another goal of what you're trying to do. But I think the better play would be to try to go to this window. If not possible, you could definitely outmaneuver the brig and just probably land a little bit near the doorway, just fly up and fall down naturally, let gravity take its work. And by the time that happens, you can walk onto the point. You're half HP basically, but you're not like terribly low to the point where you're gonna die by brig hitting you with a flail, and I don't think Zen will kill you unless he gets some crit damage in on you. It is possible that he kills you and you maybe go like right here and you fall a little bit early, but I do think that the play would have been much better to try and just fly over here and then die naturally and then use your ult for remech purposes rather than to just chuck your bomb kind of. I mean, if you got your bomb through that window, I'm assuming that's what you were trying to do with the bomb. If you were trying to throw the bomb into the window, that's kind of more of like a hole-in-one, right? That would have been great. But you were way too close to the brig, and I think the risk versus reward wasn't really quite worth it unless you knew that you would be able to make that play into the window with your ult. But even then, you would have to realize that I don't think that bomb was worth your life because the brig was definitely in range of killing you right there. I think you probably could have gotten at least another like 5 or 8% out of the point if you're able to do that. It's a very nitpicky thing, but with a high level game and a high level players, I think you have to be as nitpicky as possible. Oh no, that's an oh no-y. But let's see what happens right here. So you use your boosters to kill yourself, I guess? Yeah, I guess the fight was over with the EMP. So, McCree, you, Winston get EMP'd. Pretty much the whole team gets EMP'd and they're going to start engaging right here. McCree dies. Yeah, I guess that's a lost fight. In that situation, yeah, I guess just kill yourself. I guess that's okay. But as I was saying, I definitely think you need to be extremely brutally honest and critical of every tiny little thing on the higher level, because you basically want to eliminate all mistakes. Even small mistakes, we're trying to minimize those to a maximum. And that's the goal of these. So yeah, you're just killing yourself to reset the fight really quickly. I like that. So here you're looking at At a Hammond, you're not really going to do too much to a Hammond. I mean, he is antied, so focusing him maybe be okay, because you got a flashbang there. What could you have done? What was the alternative in this play? So, if you're helping the backline as D.Va and you're playing more peeling, then that's fine. They're very different attitudes to how to play Winston D.Va. If the Winston is skilled enough, you can definitely let him do his own thing and you don't have to be with him as much, especially if there's a good healer on the team as well. In this situation, I think it was pretty decent. I want to say it's the best move, but I do think it was decent of you to help against this Hammond because the Hammond really didn't play it very well. There were a few things that could have made this peel better. So you could play the aggressive dive or you could play the more passive and defensive reactionary peeling kind of dive, which sounds weird, but it really isn't. For example, if you have a Sombra, you have the McCree, and you have the D.Va, and your Ana is your lifeblood, and basically all of the characters, like McCree is gonna flashbang, Lucio is gonna boop, and the Sombra is gonna hack whoever dives on the Ana. Because obviously, what's the Hammond want to do? He wants to go in and pile drive the Ana, start harassing it, and then the Ana's not gonna be able to do what she wants to do, which is heal her team and land fat purples and some pretty decent sleeps. So playing a reactionary defensive way is extremely valuable against the dive, as long as you're able to get the kill. For example, if you weren't able to get this kill on Hammond, then it would have been a complete waste of time because your Winston is trying to apply pressure to the enemy backline at this very moment. So what should be happening right now is Sombra should be hacking this Hammond. Basically, when you get an anti, it's like you want to focus him. Obviously, he's antied, and you have the McCree, so he's able to flashbang and do a lot of damage, and then possibly even land a sleep on him. But as you can tell, what happens because of this play? Your main tank who's diving on the backline is going to get punished, and he's going to die, especially as a Winston, because he doesn't have the same defensive abilities as a Hammond does, as well as the escape abilities. So in this situation, if we didn't kill that Hammond, then we would have committed a ton of abilities. We committed flashbang, we committed anti, probably sleep, even though it probably missed, boosters, missiles, probably some defense matrix. We used all of those abilities just to try and deal with one Hammond, and while that's happening, our Winston is getting just clobbered, and our Ana is probably back here trying to do damage to the Hammond or stay alive to the point where he's not able to heal the Winston on our team, who's trying to apply pressure to the enemy team so the Hammond doesn't get the same treatment or the same healing or support. So that's one of the things that's you got to be very cautious, or you have to keep in mind when you're playing that defensive play style, is that your main tank, your Winston, he's not going to be a defensive. Like, Winston's not going to sit there and try to do little zap damage to a Hammond. That's not worth his time. And you have to try and make sure that you can deal with that Hammond like very quickly to the point where you're able to kill him, commit, kill the Hammond. At that point, you want to use your defense matrix on the Winston, who's very like low, probably getting beaten up right there. So let's kind of like look back at this fight and keep that in mind to see how the Winston does when we're applying all this pressure and ability usage on the enemy Hammond rather than being able to use it to try and assist our own Winston. So right here, I think the sleep dart was missed. We get the anti-nade off on him. You commit missiles. At this point, you don't commit boosters, which is really good. I like that you waited to use boosters to this moment. I mean, clearly what you were trying to do, because you don't see a grapple hook on Hammond, and he's right next to the kill zone for the environmental edge, what you wanted to do here was you wanted to knock him off the edge, and you got really close to doing that, so I do applaud you for going that kill. Now, at this moment, though, I don't think you should have committed to the Hammond anymore. I think you committed enough time to him. At this point, I probably would have tried to go and do more defense matrix things to Winston, because right now you're zoned by the mines. I mean, you did get the kill on Hammond, which is good, but I don't think it was mostly from you. I think the McCree was probably shooting at it from, because right there, the McCree was at that angle, right? Yeah, McCree was right there. You can see it for like a very short amount of time on the frames. I suck with these. Hold on. I'll get it. So yeah, you see McCree is committing and shooting on this Hammond right here as he's trying to roll away. You see he has the line of sight from this door pretty clearly, so he has a pretty decent line of sight. He's low health. He's not going to die. Ana's right there. You're not going to die. You're at full health, and Ana's fine. So all you should do at this moment is you should probably have committed to helping your Winston. Now, although your Winston does have a nano boost, he's getting beaten by a Brig, and there is a Sombra back there who is going to hack him. So at this moment, you need to be able to try and defense matrix and try to get a close enough point to him where the defense matrix could have saved him. Unfortunately, you're just a little too far away from him, and he gets hit by that anti-nade, and he just goes down so quickly. Killing these mines, I don't know if that was something worth the time either. At this point, you just want to keep stalling as best as possible. I mean, I like that you killed the Hammond, but I think you really weren't able to help him, and I think going for this last bit of damage on the Hammond was probably bad. At this moment, even though the mines are there, I would have liked it if you were able to push forward. Now, I know it sounds a little weird to push through the minefield, but it actually takes, like, probably about a second before the mines are actually active, and you could probably get closer just in like range where your defense matrix is going to help the Winston, and at the same time you're at full health and you have a Lucio and Ana behind you. So I don't think you're in danger of dying, and your defense matrix on the monkey right here would have absolutely saved this life, especially just if you're able to do it on the anti-nade. If you were able to defense matrix that nade, I think that's all Winston needed to stay alive. But instead you kind of hit the S button and you kind of back away. You're not really in danger of these mines. They're right here. This is the cutoff point. So there's all this space right here where you could have been, which would have allowed you to use all this defense matrix meter on this Winston, and Winston just goes down so hard. I think you had the opportunity to get a little closer instead of backing away from the mines. Not only I think that the healers are going to heal you through the damage, but also you have a second before the mines are even going to activate, and the nade would have been able to get eaten by the defense matrix, which definitely would have helped keep the Winston alive. But ultimately, I don't know if that would have led to you winning that fight, but it definitely would have given the Winston a few extra seconds to live, which could have meant another bubble or a leap, depending on what his cooldowns are. I don't know. Maybe he even had Primal Rage, but he was hacked by Sombra and died too quickly he couldn't outlive the hack. If you were able to just defense matrix all this meter to the point where he was able to hit Q, then that could have made a huge difference, and you could have probably stalled the point a lot more, or maybe even win the fight from it. So the other big mistake that I saw is that you're shooting a lot of these mines. I mean, shooting at mines it's subpar. It doesn't really have any value, and it doesn't really have any point to do that when you have full defense matrix. Because as we saw earlier, you had your defense matrix right here, right? Like, that's so much defense matrix that you can use right now. And right now, bam, it's back up to full. So you're down your Monkey, you're down your McCree, but you still have a Lucio Ana there, meaning that you can probably stall the point for a good amount of time, and you don't want to sit there and shoot at mines. In this situation, you can either try to go onto the point one at a time, or try to play right next to the Ana and Lucio so you can just get double pocket heals as much as possible, and then try to use your defense matrix in a way that'll just negate as much damage as possible. The way I would have done it is I probably would have used my boosters to fly over the mines. I wouldn't even bother like shooting at the mines. That's like, who cares? The mines are pointless. Nobody cares about the mines. I would have flown over the mines and I would have landed right in this doorway. So this is where I would have been because my Ana's right here. So Ana could easily pocket me, and I would basically just kind of stand right on the edge where I'm able to contest the point, take the damage to about half HP, then use my defense matrix, allow Ana to heal me to full, and as soon as I see that I have an Ana nade on me, I'm not going to die at that point unless it's just insane amounts of damage. Let my defense matrix then recover a bit more, and then let Ana continue to pocket me, and Lucio is going to probably get in a position where he can pocket me as well, or help just pocket the Ana, so Ana can only concentrate on healing the D.Va. In this way, you could definitely use your defense matrix and the heals to just stall the point like a crazy long amount of time, especially if you're holding this doorway, because they either need to break right through it and you can completely body block it while getting a huge amount of healing, or they have to go out through like one of these doors or something, which is kind of a long ways to go. That was the alternative play that I think would have been a lot better than you just sitting there and shooting at mines. Shooting at mines was definitely a big waste of time. And you also had full defense matrix. As you can see right here, the Ana dies in a backline, and you had full defense matrix. I mean, you definitely could have been able to prevent that. But that's just what I'm seeing so far. I don't think that your stall had a bad idea. The other way you could have played that was you could have tried, and this works better on 2CP maps more than King of the Hill, by the way, but the alternative strategy is that each person goes on the point one at a time. So you have one person, he goes on the point, stays alive as best as he can, uses all of his abilities, not the ultimate though, you want to save the ultimate in this situation, and then once he dies, the next person starts to move in, uses all their abilities, try to stall for time, and then when they die, then the other person moves in and does the same thing. And that's another good way of staggering your team, but at the same time, if you're trying to get to like 99%, it's pretty valuable strategy. But at the same time, it's much more valuable of a strategy on 2CP maps than it is on King of the Hill, because 2CP has the respawn location so close to the point, and that's why it's better. So that's a strategy to talk about for another day on a 2CP map. For now, we're going to talk about King of the Hill. So that was that fight. Let's move on to the next fight, because all we're doing here is we're regrouping. So you're going to go to the fight and you're going to use a little bit of defense matrix. Okay, so this is the aggressive diva. I love the aggressive diva, and that's exactly what you should be doing. At the beginning of the fight, we have a Winston who's going to leap in. He's going to take a lot of damage before he bubbles, but you're able to help him by boosting with him, using your defense matrix, and making sure that their McCree isn't able to just flashbang right click and just do a bunch of damage, because they also have a Zenyatta who can apply Discord to him. Discord plus flashbang fan the hammer at close range does a lot of damage. I'm actually curious about the numbers myself, but not only was that a good play, but because we were diving and applying pressure to them, they're now going to be in a position where they don't want to be. And because they aren't where they want to be, we have our own McCree in the backline who's able to get a massive high noon off. As you can see, we get both the Zenyatta and the McCree, which was probably because, as you can see, we dive both of them. So right here, we see you have the Zenyatta right here, you have the Ana right here, and you have the McCree right here. So by diving on these characters while you use High Noon, it makes them panic, because now they're getting killed, or they will be getting killed from two different areas and two different sources. They have to try and find cover for High Noon, and at the same time try to find cover and safety from the Winston and Diva. They're going to kill them as well. So they have a lot of things that they have to worry about, and in this situation, it's very difficult to try and fight these big beefy tanks. Hard to fight them off at the same time while trying to avoid the High Noon and find cover for that as well. And because of that, we see a really good High Noon, and we're able to just clean up on the Ana very quickly after that as well. Very good with the translocator, by the way. Very good compliments. Instead of focusing the damage on the Sombra, you immediately look to where the translocator is and start firing on that. Big brain plays. I love it. Such a big brain. If you see a Sombra throw a translocator like that, you know where she's going to go. Big brain. I love it. I don't know what that Hammond was thinking he was doing, but that was a feed. Alright, so we're going to see a big bomb here. That's huge. That's a huge, big brain play, big bomb. I love it. So right now you're at 85%. You got a kill on the Hammond. The Hammond is staggered. This is basically the last fight. We're almost at 90%. They still have to even touch the point, and the one person who's good at touching the point is the Hammond, who's dead. So throwing a bomb out right here is not only not expected, it's probably where the entire enemy is. And another reason why it was probably good, I don't have the comms up right now, but what can happen is when you make these plays, even if it doesn't get a kill, it's going to make the whole enemy team like run and hide. And in this situation where it's like almost 90% to the point, they don't have a whole lot of time, and this is wasting what little time they have left. So I like that bomb, and the risk versus reward, you're not gonna die. Look where you're positioned. You're not gonna die. Nobody's here. The Hammond's dead, and everybody is regrouping right now for the last fight. So you have no threat to your life. The Sombra is able to scout it out and tell you if it's gonna be a decent bomb or not, and even if it's not a good bomb, someone can like run around to a corner or something, then Sombra can pop out and start rat-a-tat-tat and start shooting that person as well. So you have a lot of different options with this play. Not only are you gonna maybe get a bomb kill, waste their time when they have no time, the Sombra can also take that bomb as time for her to just shoot and kill someone, which is really effective too. So really big play. I really like the bomb. Let's see where the rest of the enemy team is, because they might be split up. I like that you're watching this door. Even though there is a Brig over there, and you could have helped to get the Brig, you have the Sombra, Lucio, McCree who are able to deal with those, with that. And you're going to just watch this door. So right now, our goal is basically to just not let the people touch the point. And that's really good. I like that. not letting the enemy team touch the point is good. Getting aggressive on the Zenyatta is really good because it's impossible for a Zenyatta to touch the point. Oh, I guess someone did touch the point. Was it the Hammond? Yeah, the Hammond touched it, but we're able to not worry about him. So either way, that was analyzing all of those fights the best I could. I think that was a really good round of Lijiang Tower, and I definitely think you played it very well. There were a few very minor mistakes that I think you could have done better. There were some times where you had defense matrix available that could have been used on your team to help them, and you didn't do it. So that's something I would definitely work out, and I wouldn't be too afraid of taking damage. One of the other things that I noticed is it seemed like you were a little too afraid to take damage in some scenarios, and you kind of backed off. And one of the things is you kind of have to have a trust relationship with your healers, such as this big dumb idiot right here. You have to have a little bit of faith in him that he's going to heal you when you take that damage. If you know that you need to take damage to get something done, maybe even communicate that to the player and be like, I'm about to take a whole lot of damage, you know, use that nade on me so I stay alive. Maybe ask for something like that. Let them know beforehand that you're about to take a lot of damage for this play, so just give them a warning, I'm gonna need heals or something like that. One of those bombs is really good, and the very first bomb was really bad. You used it in more of a desperation move. Never take desperation bombs like that. You have more value to just use a remech bomb in that situation. So keep that in mind. Overall, that's all I have for this round. I will be making another part 2 analysis of the other maps on Lijiang Tower from this player's point of view. So make sure to look out for those games. I will be doing those as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this one on a little bit more in-depth play style, on a little bit more advanced teamwork and coordination, and some of the team fights that I'm trying to analyze and bring to you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I can continue bringing this kind of content out for you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Either way, that's all I have for this video, and I'll be sure to go over the other parts and turn those into videos for the future as well. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for today, so I'll see you guys next time.